Y'all, we're going to be starting a new series today, bottom to the top. Chess.com hasn't assigned our account an actual ELO yet, so this video is just going to be playing the first 5 games and getting ourselves a rating. In future episodes, we will work our way up the rating ladder, seeing how high we can get, talking our way through the process. Let's get into it. Chess.com, I think, starts us off at 400 ELO. And we're going no music this time. We'll just play a couple games in this episode, see where we can land. I guess the first game is a placement game. See, going against Catgirl, 90, 90, 90. And now we're against Yaz Queen, 7, 7, 7, who actually plays E4. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Reaching for my AirPod that isn't there. This isn't an opening I'm super familiar with. That's what I'm going to say. It doesn't look like Yaz Queen knows a lot about it either, though, with her bishops ending up on E and D2. This knight should probably be coming out. See, and then making 2 bishop moves in the beginning, that's just not really what we kind of try to look for, and allowing me to now protect this pawn, which is coming under fire. It'll be interesting to see where chess.com puts us, because I don't think it actually has us assigned a rating yet. I'm just going to start kicking out this bishop. Could take double my pawns, but then I'm going to have some extra strength to strike in the center once my king is tucked away. Now, that being said, I am a couple moves away from having my king tucked away and safe. I could strengthen my center like this to protect the pawn. I do also have queen f6, but that can be met with e5. After takes, I could capture back with check. But there's also knight f3, which would target e5 as well. So I think I will actually just make another pawn move. It's probably not the best move, but just trying to stay solid in the center for now. We'll probably see knight f... Oh, okay. Putting your knight on the rim. It's not what we usually look for. E5 is possible now, attacking the knight, and takes, and then I could develop my bishop then, looking for a trade. That's not what happens, though. See, in these random knight jumps, they just... Okay, actually, yeah, no, it doesn't do anything. My idea there was... if I was to short castle, the knight targets h7, and then after e5, the queen also sees h7. Now, that being said, the knight covers, and then it would be... Is that actually a threat? I could always play... No, and then knight captures. Okay, see, I do think that was a real move there. I'll go ahead and kick out the knight. He'll probably take my bishop, and we'll just make a trade. Okay. That's not a real move. That is a free knight.
Okay.
And just look at the center space that I have compared to Yaz Queen. This just isn't what you want to see in your games. And, I mean, just hanging these pieces... You know, like, you can see this as a sacrifice, but, you know, you have to ask yourself, like, what's going to happen next? So, yeah, my king's under attack. What's happening after queen d7? Truly nothing. You're just removing a defender from your own pawn. And I don't mind trading queens here. Being up 5 points of material. I am down on time, but I'm not super worried about that. And just another move that isn't, it's just not a threat. I'm going to bring my rook over to d8, and we'll be tucked away nicely in pretty much every aspect. We'll be able to kingside castle shortly. Not a move. I won't be kingside castling now, I'll say that, but it's just not a viable move. I probably had missed opportunities in this game. But I don't think anything that's going to impact the outcome. He can't. Okay, see, captures the free pawn, but I have a free pawn as well with check. And up 7 points of material. I don't know if I would have played king f1. I might have actually run my king forward and tried to tuck it away here. Especially now that I have moves like this, like bishop c4, just kind of forcing the king into the corner, trapping his own rook. And now I can attack the rook. And now even just look for ideas of smothered mate. It's always a good idea to have in the back of your mind. I'd have to get my knight to f4 first though, so it would be something like this. Also though, if I could have my rook on the g, okay, smothered mate is not going to happen, but his rook is going to fall. And then we're going to capture on h4. Then we're going to play queen g3. And that's going to be mate. All right. Oh, play 4 more rapid games to be rated. All right. That's what we'll go ahead and do. We'll do our 4 more rapid games, and that'll be the video. Game aborted right off the bat. Just still sticking with e4, e5. I'll probably stick to Italian ideas as much as possible for this first video, just because it's what I'm most comfortable with. I'll try to brush up on opening prep and get y'all some variety moving forward. But you can always count on a strong position from an Italian. Black has several options here, preferably bringing the bishop out, looking to short castle. After that, playing d6. d6 before or after short castling. Yep, good move. I'm going to short castle now. At some point, there is an idea of putting my knight on. Putting my knight on a4, attacking the bishop. Same idea for him, putting it on a5. For now, though, this pin is very strong. There's actually there are ideas of sacrifices here. I do think d6 has to be played before the sacrifice idea comes in, though. And with this pin now, my thought process shifts more to knight d5 rather than putting it on a4. Oh. But h6 would not be a good move here. Well, h6 wouldn't be a bad move. Following h6 with g5 would be a bad move. Then I would sack the knight. Okay, that's not a bad move at all. Probably just going to slide my bishop back. Trading here would not be good for black. This bishop plays an important role in making sure that my bishop doesn't get much action without opening up this rook and giving the king escape squares if these pawns were to eventually open up. Okay, That's not a good move because now I can take the knight and his king is open. And we're going to look to infiltrate now. And we're even going to threaten a knight fork here. If trades, I still like where my bishop is. It prevents any f-pawn moves from black. And that's what we see. I am winning in this position. He can push now, lock up the position, stop my queen from getting progress. I have to imagine that's the best move. Is there a way for me to route this knight to f6 easily to get that fork? Not really. I mean, yeah, truly, I don't know how I do that, seeing as how this square is covered, preventing this. D5's already taken up by my bishop. So, I don't think that's actually going to happen this game. Probably not. Well, let's look at where Magdi's from. Magdi's from Egypt. That's fun. We're going to give this check now. Absolutely infiltrating at this point. We're going to give another check. King's going to slide back. We're going to bring the knight to the party. Just like that. Now, if black has one strength in this position, it's the fact that f7 is so protected. Yeah, the king protects, but also a rook, a queen, and a knight that somehow ended up on d8. That knight, by the way, was not under attack. If I had taken with the pawn, that knight would have had to move someplace. I'm not sure why the knight ended up back on d8. It does protect d7 and f7 though, so maybe not the worst idea. Just not exactly what we were looking for. Ideas of a rook lift, depending on the next few moves, are in play. We do have to watch for this bishop, though, which covers e3. And massive time advantage as well. We're up to 3 minutes, approaching 3 minutes right there. And that's just too passive. Let's see. Yeah, queen h6 absolutely wins here, and that's going to be mate. All right, 3 more rapid games. Oh, opened up my achievements here. Let's go ahead and play. All right, let's run one back. Like I said, we're going to stick to e4. Messi, Ronaldinho. I've never heard of Ronaldinho. 26. Is 26 the year you were born, Messi, Ronaldinho? These kids keep getting younger and younger. Start being born in the future. And this is, by the way, this is not a move here. Preventing your d-pawn from coming out, stopping the development of your light square bishop. Now, your bishops want to be on long diagonals where they have threats. This isn't. You're attacking 2 of your own pawns, and that's just not an option. Where's Messi Ronaldinho from? Peru. Yeah, they love football in Peru. We love football here in Los Estados Unidos, but it's a different type of football. No threat. Absolutely no threat here. We just develop as usual. I'll end up kicking this knight at some point, and he will have wasted a move, and I'll stop the bishop from coming to b4. And Messi Ronaldo already using plenty of time. Yeah, I'll say, I mean, don't spend all your time learning chess on the opening, but it's never a bad idea to spend a solid amount of time, just kind of at least knowing the ideas of openings. Like, I know for the Italian, light square bishop wants to be staring down this diagonal. Get your knights out to c3, f3, short castle. If your bishop can go to g5, a lot of times that's going to be a good idea. If your opponent plays h6 though, then don't hang your bishop. Might be controversial, but that's my belief. Hopefully Ronaldinho actually plays another move and doesn't just let the time run out.
One eternity later.
Finally. Okay, so we see knight g4. Is there a threat? There would be if the bishop was on c5 like it was supposed to be. But no, not in this position. This actually just hangs a queen. But yeah, I mean, even whenever your opponent hangs a queen, ask yourself first, do they have a threat? Because, if somehow this threatened mate, it doesn't matter if their queen's hanging. So don't, jump the gun. Take those extra 5 to 10 seconds and just say, will this move ruin my game before I can ruin theirs? He should just be capturing back now. Nothing else of his is hanging. There we go. Captures back. I don't have... So I can't take e5 here. There would sometimes be an idea of taking on e5, and then my queen would see the knight. So after takes, takes, that would win a pawn. But since after takes, I'm no longer threatening the knight, it doesn't work. I'm just going to short castle. Whenever you get into a dead winning position, don't overthink it. Play as you usually would. Play as if the queen was still there. Maybe not as if your bishop was still there. But stick to principle. And don't kind of freak yourself out, Don't start hanging pieces just because you feel like you can. That material will add up quickly, and you could find yourself in a drawn or even losing position. All right, see, and now the bishop goes to c5. It's too late. I'm short castled. You put your bishop on d6 first, where it wasn't supposed to go. So now, I mean, you can't play like this. I mean, now I have a lot of options. I mean, one of which is just opening up the center, since I can. Now, actually, what this did open up to is a fork on c2. Not super concerned about that, though, since I can follow up knight c2. I can take on g7. And then that would be threatening this knight and the rook. And then the rook would actually have to slide all the way over to e8. And I would just take the knight. So it's not actually a threat, but... Okay, and that's just... Okay. An attempt at danger levels. I see. But, I mean, my idea remains. And actually... After captures, you can't even take the bishop. This pawn is pinned to the king. And just practice, play with bots. One thing I used to do a lot whenever I was a bit higher rated, I would play against Stockfish a lot. And I would play with analysis on and move feedback on. And I would just try to find the best moves. And it kind of shifts your brain away from this idea of tricking your opponent, because whenever you're playing against the Stockfish engine, you're not going to trick it. And just kind of finding the practical best moves, playing a lot by principle. I think that helps out a lot. Maybe going to see bishop e6 here. We can still take the pawn several ways, though. I want to take kind of with a minor piece instead of this pawn. A pawn is a very minor piece, but either the knight or bishop instead, just so that then I can have another move off of this square for a reveal check, and that wouldn't be possible if I captured with the pawn. Unless I captured with the pawn in the... Okay, I mean, that doesn't work. We're just gonna take that knight. For a second I thought I fell for a fork. But no. Messi Ronaldinho. I've gotten better at saying his name throughout the game. It seems like he's given up to some extent. Mr. Peru. And this time advantage is just crippling. Yeah, if you're in a losing position, material-wise, position-wise, then you just got to try to stay up on time. And I know that's hard whenever you're trying to dig yourself out of that hole, but especially once it reaches a point where you're not going to win. If both players had infinite time on their clocks and you're not going to win, you have to at some point say, I'm not going to play the best moves. I'm going to get my clock up on my opponent, and then we'll see what we can do from there. You know, even if it's just, if your opponent's rushing and you're able to make them stalemate, that's better. That's better than getting your board wiped up 12 points of material. But Messi Ronaldinho hasn't watched this video yet, so he's just letting it tick down to 3.5 minutes and beyond. And I don't know how long it will be until he actually moves. His let's see, his 6th move of the game was 1 minute and 49 seconds, and that's just something you can't have happen. We're only on move 11 now, and the position's fallen apart for him since then. And if he had some background knowledge about the Italian and the bishop on g5, it wouldn't even be seeing this pin. You would just know that if White's dark square bishop developed to g5, you know there's a pin there because you understand the ideas of the position. And he's just giving away everything now. Okay, I mean, hey, to his credit, gets the king out of the line of sight of my queen. He could even play... He could play rook... Okay, he doesn't. There was an idea for rook d8 there. It's not a winning move, but... And now he plays it, but this is actually the worst move on the board now because it prevented the escape square of d8 and hangs mate. All right, we have two more rapid games, and this time we're playing as black. So let's see, I wonder if we're going to play against d4 this time, something else. No, we're just sticking to the usual king's pawn. As Bobby would say, best by test. And I'd have to agree. Buttafuoco. I'm going to say that as Fuoco. Buttafuoco, 1945. So that was a few years. Let's see. 27-ish years before Bobby Fischer's World Chess Championship. I'm just going to try to bait him into taking, which would then threaten the knight, which is hanging. He has to play a3 now, except for now I'm also attacking his queen. So he can't just take the bishop. All right. And now I can even just take here, and which is a revealed check, and I'll be able to... I have a lot of things that I can do here. So this is kind of just already the game. Resignation wouldn't be a bad idea here for Buttafuoco. Yeah, I mean, just understanding these openings. Like, he had options. He didn't have to play the opening that he chose to play. He just kind of did. And after giving this check, I am actually going to trade off the queens. You know, if you're up 17 points of material and you can get the opponent's... if you can get your opponent's queen off the board, then you can make mating impossible. And we're just kind of giving checks now. I don't mind dropping down to up 14 points of material. It was kind of a difficulty to not lose either my knight or my bishop. But yeah, we'll go ahead and mate there. All right, one more rapid game for this episode. We're playing against Horn Pub. 2134. All right, he's probably gonna go for a Scholar's Mate. Don't sweat it. Bringing out the queen early just wins us a few tempos. We get some free attacks on the queen. And we're eventually just going to be able to short castle. Threatening b4. But let's see. There are winning ideas here. I'm just forgetting where they are. Because after putting my knight on d4, he's probably going to play queen d3. And then after queen d3, I could then always play knight f4. Oh, except for now his knight covers f2. So I'm just going to stick to principle, because why not? Developing his knight now. Not a bad idea. I do kind of want to earn my knight some center space. He's blocked this pawn, preventing my knight from being able to be kicked, and it'll take this queen off of this diagonal now. But I do need to be careful, because if I take here, he can take here, open up the rook for an attack if I castle kingside, but he's also already prepping to launch b4 on queenside. So there are a number of decisions that need to be made here, which aren't the easiest. Let's see. I kind of want to wait for him to see if he castles kingside, because then I absolutely will take here. And that could be the game. If so. For now, however, I'll go ahead and castle kingside as well. I do expect him to castle kingside. Okay. I'm not sure what this move does. I can trade here. His bishop would end up here. He is giving me an opportunity, though, to get my queen out. I'm going to ask him. Okay. Well, another thing he's doing is prepping c3. And I don't really mind that. My knight would just fall back to e6. So not much of a worry. But, just making sure to ask your opponent, ask yourself first, what did that move do? What did your opponent's move do? And then, after that, ask your opponent, can you tell me what that move did? Because now your knight's gone. My knight's just going to go back to e6 and be comfortable. My bishop's going to be kind of blocked, but I can remaneuver my knight easily. But hey, definitely a stronger player than we've seen. Before. I'm not sure what that move does, man. In fact, the only thing I see that it does is it prevents c3, which was the whole reason that the knight came here, so now you've just wasted a tempo. So why are you doing that to yourself? And now if I can open up, it's just not what we look for. Oh, I might have a winning move. All right, first things first, getting this knight out of the way. I have a discovered attack. on F2. Something that I think I might have missed for a couple moves. How long? Okay, so my queen's only been on F6 for a couple moves. But still, yeah, not something that we typically want to be missing. Now, what's the idea here? Actually, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to threaten mate in 1. Threaten mate in 1 on E2. And just making sure that my pieces are swarming. Nothing of mine's hanging, no danger. We are looking mighty fine. Queen D2 might be an option on the table. Well, no, actually, then the rook's hanging, and he chooses to save the rook, but that was mate in 1. And do I have a rating? It disappeared. Okay, let's see. Our rapid rating is 626. Okay, it says 400 here, but it also just said. Are you sure? 626. There we go. So starting off in the 57.9th percentile, number 13,828,703 in the world, but with a 100% win rate. So yeah, next episode, I'll probably just start doing three game chunks. We'll bring the jazz back or whatever music y'all want. Yeah, thanks for hanging out. I'll see you next time.